go through our last example, which is the second example from assignment number 2 on syntactic categories. So we have the sentence, at home she was an incredibly warm and loving human being, full of sensitivity for people's feelings. Let's go through each of these words and determine how we're going to label each one. At is telling you information about what? Location. So therefore we're going to expect that it is a preposition. It cannot take any markers at the end. It's invariant. The word home. Home might be interesting. So home fits into the position of nominal, which is the subject position. So we know this guy is a noun. And typically a prepositional phrase is going to always be comprised of a preposition followed by a noun or a noun phrase. So we're seeing what it is that we expect to see. And then we have she as the subject of the sentence. She is serving as a replacement for a noun phrase. In other words, it must itself be a type of noun. And then we have was, an incredibly warm and loving human being. Let's go up to that. So was looks like it could be an auxiliary verb, right? Because you could say he was being rude. If you say he was being rude, then was is a verb as well as being. Being, you know, is the main verb because it's the last verb in the sequence of verbs. And so was, in that sentence, he was being rude, must be an auxiliary verb. So the verb was can be an auxiliary verb. However, in this particular example, do we have was functioning as an auxiliary verb? Well, if we did, what would we have to have? We'd have to have something else, which is the main verb. However, what would the main verb be here? At home, she was an incredibly warm and loving human being, full of sensitivity for people's feelings. The only verb that we have in this whole sentence is was. Therefore, you know that was is the main verb of the sentence. The only thing that can be a main verb is the single verb of the sentence. Every single sentence has at least a main verb, and then maybe it has auxiliary verbs, optional. Okay, so was is going to be the main verb, not an auxiliary verb. And then you have an, which is the counterpart to a. If you have something following that is initially formed with a vowel. So this is going to be another type of determiner. And then we have incredibly, aha, one of these words again that we wonder, ly. Does that mean that this is an adverb? So let's see, what is the function of incredibly in this sentence? When you say at home, she was an incredibly warm and loving human being. So what's going on here? Warm and loving are telling you about what? Human being. And some of you said that human and being are made up of 2 units. Some of you had characterized it as a single unit, as a nominal. So you can say human beings, for example, showing that it's plural. It must then be a nominal. So it's probably a compound, one of those examples like Blackboard that we were talking about before. So you wouldn't have to worry about characterizing these 2 guys separately because they're probably actually functioning as a single unit here. So human being is a noun, and then think about warm and loving is describing human being. So loving is giving you information about the nominal human being, and warm is also giving you information about the word human being. And what must we have in between these 2 guys? This conjunction and. So conjunctions in English are the words and, or, nor, and basically it's really limited to that very small class of words. So if you ever have something that is any of those words, you know it has to be a conjunction. They're not ambiguous. They can't be anything else. But if you ever have something that is not one of those words, you know it cannot be a conjunction because these are all and only conjunctions of English. So and is conjoining together incredibly warm and loving. So think about what incredibly is doing here. Incredibly is modifying warm and loving, not just she's warm and loving, but she's incredibly warm and loving. So it's telling you the degree to which she is warm and loving. Warm and loving we know is functioning as an adjective because it's telling you about the noun. So therefore in this sentence, incredibly is an adverb because it's modifying something other than a noun. It's modifying an adjective or an adjective phrase. Okay, so then we have full of sensitivity for people's feelings. What's happening here with full? Some people had this as an adjective, some people had it as a noun, some people had it as a preposition. So let's think a little bit about how it's functioning in this sentence. When you say full of sensitivity, think about what's going on with these expressions. So sensitivity is probably a nominal because you can make it plural. Sensitivities, she shows too many sensitivities towards allergies or something like that, right? That would be a possible sentence. So sensitivity is going to be a nominal. Of preceding that is functioning we know as a preposition. And when we have full of sensitivity for people's feelings, what is that whole expression doing? It's functioning to modify what? The human being who is she. So in other words, when you say, I am full of sensitivity for people's feelings, full of sensitivity for people's feelings is giving information about me. It's modifying me. Therefore, since you know that the thing that is describing a pronoun must be a noun, full is going to be an adjective. And as well, you can use it in a sentence where you just have full. So you've just eaten dinner and you say, oh, I'm full. So I am full, full is modifying the subject I. Therefore, it has to be an adjective. So you have full of sensitivity and then for people's feelings. Again, for, counting as a preposition, people's nominal because it has the genitive S marker. You know that anything that can take the genitive S must be only a nominal. And last word, feelings, is in the plural. We know that this is a true plural because you could say a feeling, in which case you would eliminate the plural. And if you had lots of feelings, then you would have to have the plural form. So I hope that this board is at least somewhat visible to you. If you guys have any questions about anything that we've gone over with respect to syntactic categories, please get in touch with me. I'm going to go through the review for the exam a little bit later today as well. So any questions about any of those, let me know. And we'll see you soon.